Okay, so we're at time and I think we will go ahead and get started so that we can make sure to have enough time for people's questions after the presentations. Thank you very much for joining today. Happy Halloween if you observe. Um, and Today is the second presentation of workshop one of this study abroad training series. Part one, laying the groundwork, planning and policy essentials. Yesterday we had the first kickoff in person here in the library where the study abroad and global engagement and international education engagement is located. Really good turnout. So just making sure. Um, Here we go. My slides are trying to advance. There we go. So just would like to introduce myself. My name is Cherie Merrill. I serve as the Associate Director for Study Abroad and Global Engagement. This is my 10th year here at Cal State Fullerton, and I've got probably going on 16 plus years working in study abroad, primarily with faculty-led programs, which this series has a lot. To do with. So this is again number one of a four-part series, which is designed to give faculty and staff tools and knowledge to plan, manage, and close out their programs. And so the series is focusing on compliance as well with university policies, but also for the not just for the sake of following a protocol or procedure, but also for really the purpose of giving the student the best experience possible. If for whatever reason, people viewing this video later or would like to revisit these trainings, these workshops, you can register for the training in the Titan Training Hub. They will be available there. And yes, there are some first come, first serve basis in-person sessions like the one we had yesterday, but space is limited. So please do, if you think you would like to join in person, go ahead and look at the schedule and try to reserve your spot. And again, we're recording this. You saw the message pop up when you joined. So today we are going to be hearing about just a high-level overview of the study abroad department faculty-led planning process. Then we'll hear from contracts and procurement about related processes when it comes to study abroad and running these programs. And then finally, we will round it off with a presentation from our financial aid and scholarships colleagues who are going to, give us some really concrete examples and good information about how financial aid, when properly applied for study abroad, can really benefit our students, and also the opposite situation. So I'm going to turn the presentation over to Ketley Valcourt, who is our programs lead for study abroad and global engagement.
Hi, thank you so much, Cherie. Thank you all for joining. Yes, so like Cherie said, I'll be hosting at least the first part of this workshop just to go over a brief overview of what is it like from start to finish to lead a faculty-led program. So I forgot I don't have control. I'm over here clicking my arrow. Okay, perfect. So yes, so this is Cherie and I serve as the programs lead as she does the associate director. A little bit of what we do as a part of the process when it comes to faculty-led programs is anything from agreement approval, budget creation and approval, study abroad compliance and guidance. With that, we work alongside with risk management, which that will be its own workshop. Emergency support, health and safety, logistical support, program partner info/intro, pre-departure activities, process guidance, and recruitment. So there's a lot that comes from the SAGE office. So when you're coming in. There's a lot of questions you may have. So this is kind of, why we're doing a workshop like this, to really bring in all of the hands in the pot, so to say, together to really understand what everyone's part and role is. Thank you. So this is a coordination timeline, really an idea of what to expect when you're coming to our office or sending us an email and you're just like, hey, I want to go to said country, lead said program, take said amount of students. What do I need to know? So pre-planning looks like about 24 months. So you might be thinking that's so much time, 2 years from now, I don't even know, what I'm going to have for breakfast tomorrow or something like that. But this really gives you an idea of, again, how many hands are in the pot, what
Oh,
goes
are
into the, was there a question? All right. So yeah, so a lot of it really goes into really bringing in every department that takes part in this process, as well as understanding, what steps that goes along. So 24 months, this is really going to your department, going to your college, and saying, hey, I want to go to Australia and I want to lead a zoology course or something really cool like that. This is really going to your department, going to your college, sitting down, hashing out all the ideas, the details, and just really making sure you have support. So when you do come to the next stage, which is a faculty application with Sage, there is a step where we go back to your department in college and basically they have to sign off. So we just don't want that part of the process to be the first time your department slash college hears of this said program. So that way, when they come to us, and or when we actually go to them and they're signing off, they're like, "Oh yeah, I remember us talking about it. That's yeah, it's still going. That's awesome. Let's keep going with that." So at this point, you are coming to Sage and we are creating this budget. And really, you're also coming in with a vendor, which we'll talk a lot about in this workshop. But with the budget, going to a vendor in that faculty app stage, even in that proposal with the department and college stage, it really helps you come in with the budget step, that phase two, with real actual numbers. So we have a list of vendors that we'll show you on the next slide. But this really finalizes and concretes your program, saying that, hey, this is the actual vendor that I'm going with. These are the numbers. These are, this is the itinerary even. And as that budget is going, also the agreement. So this is kind of that very formal contracts, that contracts and procurement will be helping us alongside in this process. So as the budget goes, the budget's basically saying, hey, here are the numbers that are solidified, and the agreement's basically saying, here are our promises, and here's everything that we will promise to do and complete and invoice and all of that. So those two kind of run in tandem. But in after that, you're able to start recruiting. So while yes, you can start recruiting in the sense that you can tell students actual numbers and dates and all of that. Like all of that is concrete at this point. We do encourage recruitment, as in just talking about your program even before then. This really gets students interested. Obviously, we don't want to overpromise before anything is concrete, but really we want you to always be talking about your program, always be trying to recruit in some sort of way. But at that phase three stage, this is when you can start hosting those meetings and really start solidifying those numbers as far as enrollment. Um, and then we go to pre-departure. So pre-departure, it's kind of bigger than all the other phases because there's a lot more going in. So with that, the agreements routing, class meetings are going, you're scheduling your class and actually making sure students are able to enroll in it. Um, travel requests are going out, student payment collection, whether it's on the college side or the vendor side, either way, that process is going on. Vendor payment requests are going out, insurance requests, faculty trainings, which will be coming from the SAGE office, as well as completing our forms. Faculty will have their set, as well as students will have their own. Reporting to financial aid, especially if IRA is involved, reporting to registration records, and much more. So this, even though this is the fourth stage, is kind of the meatier part of the process and a lot more deadlines that kind of come about. So with that 20, you're wondering 24 months, that's so crazy. The departure, pre-departure is kind of why we plan so far in advance, to make sure we're meeting multiple deadlines. Phase 5, bon voyage, you're off. You are, launching your program. You're off in Australia, Portugal, Spain, anywhere and everywhere. But of course, if anything comes up, our office is just a phone call away. And of course, with the faculty trainings, there's going to be a lot of support when it comes to risk management. And then phase 6, return. And then we do have a workshop on how to end well and wrap up all of that. So that's again, this like bird's eye view of what the coordination will look like. So if you're on this call and you're like, okay, well, I really want to do a summer to 27. It's, October, it's Halloween of 2025. Like, where am I in that process? This is kind of an idea of, where you're at and what you can do even right now. So if you're looking for the fall break, winter session, even spring break 2027, think about in the next month or so to be putting in your application. So that means right now, just be talking with your college and department with, hey, like I want to go to this place. Let's start having that conversation now, and then be thinking about recruitment coming up spring, so returning back from the holidays. And then if you're wanting to do summer 27, you're like, it's so far in advance. Think of it this way: March 2026. That is when that faculty app deadline is going to be open or due technically. So again, still should be in that conversation with your department, and then thinking about recruitment deadline October 2026 for students. So literally a year from now, thinking about recruiting your students for that summer 27 program. So I'm speaking a lot about vendors and partnerships. So as I've worked a lot with faculty, a big question is, why do we have to work with vendors? And this is kind of, wanting to answer that question. So when we say partners, when we say vendors, we're talking education abroad providers, international university partners, those who are kind of used to or in the business of hosting international students for different short-term or even long-term programs. What do they even offer in the process? Really just logistics, risk management, recruitment, and financial processes. So as faculty coming in, we really want that to be your focus. Obviously, there's going to be many hats you're wearing as you're leading the program, but your number one is to be teaching. So when we want you to partner with a vendor, the logistics, risk management, recruitment is really what they do offer. And they do take a huge load off of what it means to lead these programs and why, just support, like I just said, academic focus, wanting the faculty to really just take on, what they're good at and just teaching, expertise, and health safety. So a lot of our programs, they do have people and I guess reps that live in country of wherever most of the places that our programs have gone. So they do know best and know most of the areas that our programs are wanting to go to. So it really just provides that on the ground support and knowledge that a lot of our faculty really benefit from. So yeah. And this is a kind of a lookbook of a lot of our program partners. So they are approved vendors. So every time a vendor comes to us, I want to lead a program with said professor, we have them answer, a bunch of just questions, making sure they can adhere to certain standards, university standards. So some of them are highlighted yellow, and they're kind of the gold standard of like Sage Office gold standard, where they do provide most, if not all, of the accommodations. So a lot of it can be lodging, excursions. Um, there can be crisis management offerings, ground transportation. There's someone who can't see the slides. Is it only one person who can't see the slides?
I could see them. Um, are you guys clicked on the tab at the top that says Sherry? Your screen is shared?
Okay.
I think they can now.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. She can see him. Awesome. So continuing on, so yeah, this is kind of an idea of what a lot of the programs can offer. We do allow faculty to, if they have any sort of connections and they're like, I really want to work with said vendor, it's not on your list. Can we have them take the survey? Sure. But just keep in mind that some offer more than others. So this is kind of, we do want this to also be available to faculty, especially if faculty are coming in new and they're like, I don't know what to even, how to even start. This is a great way to start. You're free to even Google a lot of these vendors to see, you know, what kind of offerings they've had in the past. But yeah. So funding resources, this is a huge one for students because a lot of times when they're taking the faculty-led route is quite often the more affordable route. So a lot of times students are not well traveled. So having the comfort of traveling with their faculty and classmates, it really makes it super affordable for them. A huge resource that has been so beneficial to students and faculty has been IRA, and we've been working a lot more closely with the IRA team to really make sure that faculty are able to apply on time, correct everything the application is requesting, is able to feed right into our application. So making that transition as seamless as possible. We've seen a majority of, if not all of our programs receive IRA funding, and we've seen program reduction, the program fee reduced from 3,000, 4,000 to sometimes even $10. So it comes in handy a lot. So really, if you're wanting that 24 months timeline, makes a lot more sense when you're also including that IRA timeline as well. So that makes the process so much smoother. And again, a lot of our vendors are now pretty familiar with the IRA process, so it won't be a huge surprise when we bring that up when working with them. Another funding source would be the department and college funding. So that is, of course, a conversation you'll have with them again with that, early on, what does it mean to even fund this program? A lot of times, just a simple question, a simple ask of like, hey, can this be funded by the department can go a long way. Philanthropic funds, a lot of our faculty have gone out and outside of the university to look for funds and have found quite like good amount of success doing that. Fundraising, program partner funding, and then of course, study abroad scholarships. This links to our website, which has a list of study abroad scholarships that are available to students as well. So that is, again, bird's eye view of the process, start to finish. If there are any questions, I'd love to answer them. Cherie's on as well if I'm not able to get to the answer quickly.
It looks like Mariano
Oh,
raised her
Judel.
hand. Yeah.
Hi,
Hi,
hi, good to see you. My
you
my
too.
question was, I don't know if I misread it, but there was in the one of the first few slides when you said if you're thinking about doing a winter 2027, that there's something due November 2025. Could you let me know a little bit more about that or what it is that I need to do for that?
It's just going to be that same faculty application that you've done for the past program. So it should be, I mean, at this point, pretty seamless for you and your team to just redo. And I'm assuming it'll be the CAS program for winter. Yeah. So again, just as those programs continue to repeat, the process gets a lot more smoother and simpler. So adhering to the deadlines, November 25th or 2025 is when that app should be open. And then it should be all ready to go for you guys.
Thank you. Could I have like a direct link or is there something that, because you know how we apply for it, but we don't know if we receive funding until IRA comes back to us in February or March. So I
Mm-hmm.
guess I just want to make sure that I'm not late because that's usually around the time when we tell Sage like, oh yeah, we finally received funding. This is when we kind of do it. So I guess I just want to make sure that if I can get on top of it, right? Like, in next month, if I can already let you all know this is what I have planned for that 26, 27 year, then yeah, I would love to kind of maybe get a direct link to that.
Shuri, correct me if I'm wrong. Is the link open now?
We're finalizing some updates to the application. But there's just a couple of tweaks and workflows that we have to update. So, but it will soon be open, especially now that we're having this workshop.
All right. Any other questions?
Yeah, I teach in the education department, and I was wondering if any of those vendors or any of those the slide was big or small, so I didn't get to look at it very deeply. But like, if you have education specific vendors where like my students could work with students in other countries within their schools.
Are you requesting, like, would you prefer like a university partner, or you're just open to any sort of vendor that works with a school?
Yeah, so they would be early childhood, elementary, middle education. So ideally in schools that would be in those grade levels.
Okay. Sure,
Great.
top of your
Yeah,
head, would
so
you know?
we do have some partners that have those community connections. We could definitely connect with you and set up a meeting to talk through the options.
Great, thank you. Do you want me to
Mhm.
follow up with an email or
Oh, sure, that'd be great.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, thank you, thank you.
I have a follow-up question to what Dr. Hoffman was just asking. So we're in the same department.
Oh,
And at a
nice.
previous institution, I was able to do a Fulbright Scholar grant, which was really amazing. I got to take some teachers with me to Vietnam, and I'm just wondering, what are the opportunities for organizations like Fulbright, or like how does that process even start here at Fullerton?
For
So for Fulbright, it's a little bit different than the faculty-led program that we are, the processes that these
Okay,
workshops are about. But definitely please connect with me and Jean Hoda, who's also on this call.
okay.
We are the um, faculty Fulbright liaisons for the campus. So we would love to talk with you about your
So
ideas.
I guess what I'm hearing from you, Sherry, is that the Fulbright Scholar programs, maybe at the way that it's run here at Fullerton, they might be just for faculty, but study abroad programs are separate.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
okay,
So yeah, Fulbright is considered there's the US student program,
mhm,
which is a post-grad opportunity, and then there's the faculty, and then there's also administrator
yeah,
programs as well. Hmm.
okay. So if
Yeah.
I do want to do a study abroad program that involves students, then maybe Fulbright is not the way to go. This is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I mean it's I don't know if it's a necessarily a funding source
Yeah.
for department-led programs or faculty-led programs.
Okay,
Something
thank
we
you.
could look into.
Yeah. And I mean I appreciate you get having this call and getting us set. So I just started looking deeply at the Sage website. It seems like that's really where to go, where to get started of looking for resources and looking at
Oh,
existing.
great.
Okay,
Yay.
thanks.
Okay. We just updated it.
Great, thank you.
Hey, thank you.
all right.
Okay, I was gonna
That's
say we'll have more
yeah.
time for questions. So thank you so much, Ketley.
Thank you.
Um, and yes, if anyone thinks of anything, please do feel free to reach out to us. And we'll be happy to help you. Um, so our next presenter is not Alex Rosales. It's Ryan Benavides, and he is standing in for Alex. And I will give him the floor.
Thank you for that. Hello, everyone. My name is Ryan Benavides. I'm a buyer here in contracts and procurement. I'm also joined by Lauren Skog and Alex Reyes, who are buyer threes. I'm a buyer one. And we just want to go over contracts and procurements part in this, what we do, what we could provide for you guys. So just want to say happy Friday, Happy Halloween, and need to include this, but let's go Dodgers. Sorry to all the Blue Jays fans. So, alrighty. Next slide. Why we are gathered. Just want to mention IRA funding transitioning to stateside. What we could do is larger study abroad groups. Growth in group size leads to higher value, more complex international program agreements, increased university funding, greater investment in study abroad programs, requires robust oversight and accountability. Want to mention the CSU BY P2P implementation. We're going to have a system-wide rollout by January 2026. And then what we do is a lot of compliance with California law, the opportunity to align programs with best practices and legal requirements. Slide. Contracts and procurement at a glance. Contracts and procurement, or CNP, ensuring efficient, compliant procurement and contracting activities. CNP's responsibilities include manage the acquisition of goods and services through requisitions, procurement cards, and various supply programs. It safeguards the university's interests through careful negotiation, compliance, and risk management. We oversee contract administration, support the university's financial operations, and ensure all procurement activities meet the highest standards of integrity and transparency. Slide. What does CNP do? This main topics that we actually work with, but it's acquisition of goods and services, responsible for sourcing the best possible goods and services at the most competitive prices. We actually go out and look for better vendors, try negotiate pricing with them. If there's any agreements that we could attach to it. So we do our part of actually research of these agreements and sourcing. Negotiate favorable cost savings and terms and conditions with suppliers. Contract management, oversee the entire contract lifecycle from drafting to renewal or termination. Ensures that both parties adhere to agreed upon terms, reducing the likelihood of disputes and legal issues. And the last topic, mitigate risk and ensure compliance. We play a vital role in identifying and mitigating potential risks associated with suppliers and contracts. Ensure compliance with relevant laws, regulations, and internal policies, minimizing legal and financial risk. The importance of CNP responsibilities. We are here to ensure procurement and contracting activities that comply with the CSU policies and applicable regulations. We have listed here just examples of the different policies that CSU actually has to follow. So if you ever need to refer to any of them, you could go on those. And then such compliance protects the public and students from the misuse of public and student fee funds. Provide fair opportunity and eliminate favoritism, fraud, and corruption. Allows for the best value to be obtained for CSU, CSUF while complying with legislative intent. Slide. CNP's role in study abroad. We review the contracts and secure services providers needed for the trip by assisting with the following: vendor selection, and then contract negotiation and compliance with the university policy. This just gives the examples of what it means for each one of those. Next slide. And then, like Kelly, how she explained with the timeline, we want to show like the first phases that our involvement include. So it's the first two phases, which is at the 24 months and the 18 to 12 months. This is when CNP should be consulted before quotes and from vendors are obtained. Schedule a consultation meeting regarding vendor selection, quote, requirement timelines, etc. And then this is our main email for sending over these kind of requests, the DLC email. For programs with a single vendor projected to cost over 100,000, the faculty lead and department should consult with the CMP team between 18 and 24 months from the program departure date. Slide. Importance of involving CMP early. As you see, we have different bid thresholds. Less than 49,000 competition bidding is not required, but informal solicitation is highly recommended. Between the limits of 50,000 or 100,000, we do have the option of going through a small business or disabled veteran business enterprise option, or 3 informal quotes. This is usually a RFQ. And then anything over 100,000 to 500,000, we do have the option again for small business DVBE up to 250,000, or this would actually be considered a formal solicitation. Usually advertised in CSE BY, and yeah. Common procurement methods, we have 3 listed right here, and the definition of what it is. We usually go with the RFQ, which is request for quotations, and then the RFP, request for proposal, and then cooperative purchasing. Slide. Request for quotation, RFQ informal bidding overview. A request for quotation is a procurement method used to obtain price quotes for goods or services, typically for mid-value purchases where requirements are clear. It ensures competitive pricing while maintaining efficiency. Key features of an RFQ require 3 informal quotes, unless of a small business, or DVBE. Faster and less complex than formal request for proposal, RFP. When to use RFQ. When purchases are between 50,000 and 100,000, when product or services specifications are well defined, when a competitive, simplified, and expedited process is needed, when a formal solicitation is not required, but cost comparison is necessary, and then a couple RFQ reminders. The scope of work provided to potential vendors needs to be identical. Lead time is usually 3 to 4 weeks. RFQs help promote competition, cost savings, and efficiency in public procurement while maintaining compliance with regulations. Next slide. Request or proposal, RFP. Formal bidding interview. A request or proposal, RFP, is a formal solicitation used for complex procurements where factors beyond price, such as qualifications, experience, methodology, are considered in vendor selection. Key features of an RFP: must be publicly advertised in Fiscal Cal-E Procure for at least 10 business days. And then they are evaluated based on best value, not just the lowest price. When to use RFP, this is for purchases over $100,000 where formal solicitation is needed. When procurement requires detailed evaluation criteria. When solutions or approaches may vary among vendors. When technical expertise, experience, and methodology are key factors. Reminder, this process can take up to 3 to 6 months, so reach out to CMP early. RFPs help ensure transparency, competitive selection, policy compliance, and are the best value for public agencies in complex procurements. Slide. Co-op agreements and MEA master enabling agreements for CSU procurement. The California CSU system utilizes co-op agreements and MEA agreements to achieve better terms, pricing, and streamline procurement. Key procurement vehicles, the MEAs, California Department of General Services, DGS contracts, group purchasing organizations, GPOs, and then UC and CSU agreements, and then educational cooperatives. These agreements provide to pre-negotiated contracts with vendors, ensuring competitive pricing, favorable terms, and reduce administration of effort for all types of purchases. Next. Vendor selection and study abroad contract initiation. After working closely with study abroad, contracts and procurement, program lead, and the department to select a provider via procurement methods, a contract is initiated by study abroad and routed for signatures. Simultaneously, a requisition with all necessary supporting documentation must be submitted while waiting for a fully signed, executed contract. Note, deposits or payments via check or request P card will be limited to $5,000 and not to be made until a fully signed, executed contract is in place for CMP authorized payment. Now, the next 4 slides, it's just to go over a little P2P. I'm not going to go into detail of these because we're actually going to have a campus-wide invitation next Wednesday. Everyone should have received it. But Wednesday of next week, the 5th, between 10:30 and 12, we're going to go and have a kickoff. And there's going to be mention of the P2P terminology, what to expect from P2P, and just what it means to transition. So on here, it just gives like what is going to be coming, the objectives of P2P. Just develop a system-wide platform, implement an initiative and easy to use solution, create visibility, preferred and sustain suppliers, and guide the users to contracted suppliers. Drive process efficiency through interrogation and automation to reduce manual work, improve compliance and reduce costs. Next slide. This right here just shows what currently the flow is going to look like for CSU by P2P. What it's going to be, the flow is going to look like. We're still going to be using CFS, but it just shows the involvement of what CFS is going to be doing. Go ahead, next slide. This just shows the mapping of all the CSUs that have been part of the P2P change. As you see, we're part of the last group, which is the acceleration group 4. And we are currently trying to have this started by February 1st. So next slide. And then this just shows the activities between CSU by P2P, as you see on the left side, what will be done on that side, and then what is going to continue with CFS. Go ahead and next slide. Alrighty, any questions from anyone?
Okay. If
All right, last slide here. It just shows our contact information, our main email address, the DLC and P at Fullerton, and then also the e-business part. Please reach out to us if you have any questions. If you, even if you're at the beginning stages of planning any kind of study abroad, reach out to us. We could assist you. And then we are always available by that phone number. We have information available on our website, so go ahead and click on that website if you need any help. Other than that, thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. All right. And next we have our colleagues from financial aid and scholarships. And so, oh, my screen just went black. I hope you can all still see the presentation.
Hi, everyone.
Okay.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for this shared presentation. what you do is very important and it's changing lives. So thank you for being here. Thank you for making the effort to take our students abroad and giving them this unique experience. So I'm the scholarships counselor at the scholarships office. My name is Simtan Çekiçer, and I work with Ginette De La Rosa and Megan Paradiso Alva. And I'm going to share with you a little bit about the financial aid process and how it works with the study abroad programs. Next slide, please. So financial aid is available typically for fall and spring terms for study abroad programs. It's not available for winter terms, and it is very limited for summer. So it's typically more available. There's more aid available for fall and spring. And then there's a distinction between the CSUF and the non-CSUF programs. That's important to know because students that are enrolled in a CSUF program, they are eligible to receive both federal and state aid, which I'm going to explain a little bit later. But if students are participating in a non-CSUF program, they're only going to be eligible for federal aid and not state aid. So if they were eligible to receive state aid while they were on campus, their state aid would be canceled for the term that they're participating in that non-CSUF program. So that's important to know. Students can also apply for a Parent Plus loan or a private loan up to their cost of attendance. Next slide, please. So just a little bit of overview of what I mean by student aid. So the federal aid includes federal Pell Grant, the FSEOG grant, federal direct loans, Parent Plus loans, Grad Plus loans. So anywhere I say a grant that's considered gift aid, that means students don't need to pay those funds back. But when it's, when they are loans, then that's borrowed money and the students need to pay those back. So, but it's still part of the federal student aid. So we have grants and loans within this program. Next slide, please. And then state aid includes the Cal Grant, the State University Grant, which both of these grants cover tuition. So if a student is eligible for a state university grant, then their tuition is covered. But then later in the term, if their eligibility changes and they now are eligible for a Cal Grant, then their state university grant would be replaced by their Cal Grant. So they can receive either or. They can't receive both of these grants because they only cover tuition. And then middle class scholarship is another grant that's through the state of California. And although it's called a scholarship, it really isn't a scholarship. There's no separate application for this, for the MCS. It's really a state grant. And MCS is a last payer. And that's why it is affected by all the other aid that the student receives. And then there is also a dream loan that is available for only California residents that are not eligible to apply for FAFSA. Next slide, please. So how does the financial aid process work with the study abroad programs? When students are committed to a program, we receive the list of those students from the study abroad office. And I update all these budgets because each program has a different start date and each program has a different cost sheet. So when I receive those cost estimate forms from the study abroad program, I go in and I update all these budgets for these students based on the program. And then I also update all their financial aid based on their new cost of attendance, based on their new budget. Next slide, please. And then there's another step that we need to do manually. That is for the exchange and the non-CSUF programs. Those students, they don't show any units in the CSUF system. So we go into their file and we add remote units, which is kind of like a placeholder again. Because financial aid is based on enrollment, and if students don't show enrollment, then there will be no disbursement. They will not be paid out. So we add these units to show that students are enrolled full-time so that they can receive their aid. And this, sometimes it gets wiped out during the census processes and during the cleanup that financial aid does. The system wipes all of this out, and now we have to go back and redo all the process again. But these students are monitored throughout the semester to ensure that their aid is paid out to them and it's paid out correctly. Next slide, please. So we have some special circumstances that we can adjust the students' financial aid. And we do it in a couple of different ways and for a couple of different reasons. We can do a cost of attendance appeal, and we can do an income appeal. Now, the reason we do an income appeal is the FAFSA application looks at the student's income 2 years prior to the current year. So for example, this year, the 25-26 academic year, FAFSA application is looking at the student's income in 2023. But things happen, right? Things can change. People lose their jobs, they lose their health, accidents happen. They lose, students can lose their parents, or just they just lose hours of work. So we can work with them on a case-by-case basis, and we can update their income based on their current situation, and then we can update their awards based on the current numbers. And then the other thing is the cost of attendance appeal is how we can help those students. It's this is to increase the budget. The cost of attendance appeal that's a process that we work with students, again, one-on-one, to increase their budget. And that's to make a little more room into their budget so that they can receive more aid. For example, if a student receives their financial aid and they take out loans up to their cost of attendance, and then they receive a scholarship, but there's no room in their budget for that scholarship. So we can work with the student if there is a medical expense that's been made out of pocket, or if there's a computer purchase that they had to do for that term, or their car broke down and they had to spend, an extra money that is not already included in the student's budget. We can add these on, increase the cost of attendance, which will make room in the student's budget so they can receive that additional scholarship or that additional aid. So these are the things just for you to know. If students are going through a special situation, please guide them to us and we can help them on a one-on-one basis. So we work with them on a case-by-case basis. Next slide, please. So we have some deadlines for the scholarships office to receive the study abroad budgets and start dates. For summer term, we need to receive this information by April 15, fall term by July 15, spring term by November 15. And so the reason for that is because if we don't receive these funds in time, it will mess up the student's financial aid package. And I will give you an example in the next slide. We also have IRA funds, and those must be shared with the scholarships office during the term that they're enrolled in, and not that they're traveling. Next slide, please. So the IRA funds are paid directly to the program vendors. And which means this is reducing the cost of the program. And that's how this program, these funds are helping our students, right? So students either pay less for the program at the beginning, or if they've already paid for the program in the beginning, then they get a refund from the vendor after the IRA funds are transferred. But what that means in terms of financial aid is IRA funds are still considered gift aid, and they need to be coordinated with the student's other financial aid. So what we do is when we have this information, we post an estimated scholarship in the amount of the IRA funding plan to cover the cost for the student as a placeholder. And that's going to hold that place within the student's budget so that the student cannot take loans up to their cost of attendance or go over their cost of attendance and then end up with a balance. So it's important to receive the IRA information timely so that we can make those adjustments in a timely manner so it doesn't hurt the students. Next slide, please. So here's an example. If we look at the first column, we have a full commuter budget for a student that's planning to go to Japan, let's say, to study for the fall term. So the first budget that's showing 12,535 is the standard budget for that student. And the student is eligible for a Pell Grant, a Cal Grant, and a middle class scholarship. If we look at the second column, this is the updated budget for the student going to Japan. So the student's budget changed from 12,535 to 17,396. And this increase in the student's budget is not going to affect the Pell Grant or the Cal Grant, but it will increase the middle class scholarship from 249 to 1950. So let's say we made this adjustment and we paid the student out. The student is paid 1950 for their MCS award. After it's paid out, if we receive an information about a scholarship or an IRA funding, then the student will end up with a balance and they will need to pay that back to the school. In the third column, I have an example for an $8,000 Asian Freeman Scholarship that would adjust the student's MCS from 1950 to 577. So there would be a significant decrease in the student's middle class scholarship award amount, which would, since we have already paid it out and we have that information after MCS is paid out, then the student would owe the school $1,373, which is a huge amount for students. Similarly, if we have an IRA funding that hasn't been placed into the student's account as a placeholder, and the student received their MCS as 1950, now their MCS amount would be reduced to 752, which would leave the student with $1,198 balance that they would need to pay back to the school. So these are the scenarios we're trying to avoid because we don't want students to end up with a balance. Another thing that could happen here is if a student took out loans up to their cost of attendance and then we received their scholarship or IRA funding information, then those funds would cause the loan to be reduced. So we would go in and reduce the loans because they can't go over their cost of attendance. They need to stay within that cost of attendance limit. So I know this is a little complicated. It's not easy to understand, but just to give you an idea about why it's very important for us to receive that information in a timely manner. Next slide, please. So then we also have the CAS programs. And for those programs, students take classes in fall and travel in winter, or they take their classes in spring and then they travel in summer. So similarly, we need to know these students within the term that they are taking classes, because financial aid follows enrollment. And if a student is not enrolled, then their financial aid will not be paid out. So that's why we need to coordinate their aid within the term that they are enrolled in and not the term that they're traveling in. So this is another important thing to remember for the CAS programs. For example, if a student is taking classes in spring and traveling in summer, we would need that information by the spring deadline, which is November 15. Next slide, please. So when is financial aid paid out to the study abroad students? There is a 10-day rule for the study abroad programs per federal regulations. So what I do is I go into each student's account after I receive the list of the students attending those programs. I go in and I add a hold on each student's account. And this is all manual work because, you know, everybody else receives their financial aid in August, but if a student is going to go abroad for the term and their program doesn't start until, let's say, September 25th, they will not be paid out until September 15th. And we need to keep those funds here until 10 days before the start of that specific program. So I add the hold, and then when the time comes, I go and release these funds and make sure that they're paid out and they're paid out accurately. And if that 10-day period falls into a weekend or a holiday, then the funds will be dispersed on the following business day. Next slide, please. So students can apply for financial aid through FAFSA, and FAFSA stands for Free Application for Federal Student Aid. FAFSA is completed at studentaid.gov, and the current FAFSA application for the next academic year, the 26-27 academic year, is open. It opened on October 1st, and Titan Hub has workshops on Zoom and in person. So if you have students that haven't submitted FAFSA applications, please let them know the application is open so they can already apply. FAFSA is open to US citizens and eligible non-citizens, such as permanent residents. And if students are not eligible to apply for FAFSA, but they are California residents, then they can apply for the California DREAM Act application, which we call CADA. And that application is available at the California Student Commission's website at csac.ca.gov. And then they also should all apply for scholarships. We have 2 scholarship cycles currently. This year, for the first time, we are open to incoming students. Our application is open to incoming students. The summer cycle has closed in September 1st, but the winter cycle is going to open in January, and it will be open until March. So, and then we also have external scholarship links on that website. So please encourage your students to go onto the scholarship website and apply for scholarships. On our scholarship application, there is the CSU system-wide, and those applications will match the student with multiple applications. It's pretty simple, but they will be submitting one application and they will be matched with multiple scholarships. So please encourage your students to also apply for scholarships. Next slide, please. So this is our information for the scholarships office. We are at Gordon Hall, 178. This is our phone number, and we are available to assist with any questions anytime. Please send your students my way if they have anything special or unusual going on. I will be happy to work with them one-on-one and help with them with their applications or with their appeals or whatever they may need. So thank you for being here. Like I said, what you're doing is very, very important. So we appreciate that we have this program on our campus. So any questions? Yes.
Hi. So when you were talking about how you said let financial aid know if students are going to be taking a summer study abroad, it's a summer session class and it's also a study abroad for like the following summer to let you know by November 15. Is that just because of what we've done through Sage and then Sage lets you know like those list of students, or does the faculty directly have to let you know?
No, Sage will let us know. They will, yeah, the study abroad department is going to let us know, but the faculty needs to let them know so that, you know, if, because they need to have that information to pass it on to us. But you know, I just would like everyone to understand that this is important work and we don't want students to be in a difficult position at the end because of timing. We're just trying to avoid these from happening. And that's why we need the information during those, you know, we try to put those deadlines so that we can process them timely.
Of course. Yeah, understood. Thank you for that answer. And then as a follow-up question, if it's a November 15 in the fall and you'd like that list for, does that mean that we should already have the list for the summer session students, even though they haven't like registered for the summer yet?
So I'm not sure about the registration deadlines, but this is something that we can also go through with Sherry. But for us, like as soon as, you know, they are committed, we would like to have that placeholders so that we can, you know, add it on their accounts and coordinate so that we, you know, we don't overpay them and then leave them with a balance.
Yeah. And just to follow up, I think with your question, the scenario that Simten is talking about is when there is summer travel, but the students are enrolled in the course in the previous semester. So they're enrolled during spring, but they travel in the fall. And so that's when that's the November 15 deadline. And we're also reporting all of our other study abroad students who are doing exchanges that next spring, who are doing non-CSUF programs. They're being reported to Simpton at the same time as the CAS group. And also actually there's an HSS London group. And then there's also two new spring enrollment programs this spring 26. There's a comm group, they're going to the Winter Olympics, and then there's a kinesiology group going to New Zealand. And so those are new ones where we're like we got to get these lists locked down. But with, you know, your group is crystallizing. So yep. And I know Abby's already working on the budget, so yeah.
Any other questions? I'll pass it back on to Sherry. Thank you.
Thank you, Simten. Those examples were really helpful. Thank you. Okay, so well, that's a wrap for the first workshop. If you could please take our survey just so we can understand what's been helpful, and where these workshops could be you know, finer tuned to meet your needs. If you need to contact financial services, here is their information. this recording will be made available, and I believe, Brenda, the slides as well. So, you know, there's links and information in the slides that you'll have access to. I see some chat activity. I haven't been able to see it, like read the chat, so I don't know if there's any questions or anything lingering in the chat.
So we did extend, thank you guys. This does conclude our first week from the 4-part series. No questions as of now, but we did extend this session till 3, an extra half an hour, just in case you guys wanted to start picking brains, asking questions, any scenarios that you guys want to present now or ask now while we have everyone in one place. So don't be shy.
Someone please remind me the due date. I know it's November for the spring of the following year. Oh, pardon me, the fall of the following year. And then it's sometime in the spring for the spring of the following year. What month is that typically due? Is it February or March?
Sorry, so for programs traveling fall, winter, or spring, the deadline is in November, the faculty application. Is that what you're meaning?
Yes. Yes,
Yes,
Cherie.
in November. And then if you're traveling in the summer, the faculty application is in March, right, Kelly?
Yeah, it's
I should go back
March.
to the slide. Yes, March.
Thank you so much.
Mhm. I have a question for Ryan or Logan or Alex about when the faculty or departments reach out to contracts and procurement. What kind of information would you advise that they have ready, or is that not required yet at that point?
Alex, do you have this?
Hi, Cherie. Thank you. Good question. At that point, I'm assuming they already have, they've gone through the application with you, right? And we potentially have somewhat of a scope of work and potential supplier or campus partner that they want to use. It would
So,
be ideal.
yeah.
Go ahead.
In some cases, yes, that would be
Okay.
true.
Well, for us, early engagements is the key, right? And also, too, if you have any type of quote proposal or anything from any potential supplier, if you could include that as you're engaging us for us to assess and be able to ask different questions. If you're at the stage of submitting an actual requisition to pay for the services, we ask you to please submit all supporting documentations. It might be a communication from Cherie, it might be your international agreement template or agreement associated with that, any quotes or proposals from vendors. It'll help us ascertain whether we're good to go with this one or we need to look at the request for quotation process that Ryan might showed you guys earlier. Hope that helps.